Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles Sr., Chairman, Founder, and CEO of the Minor Football League. It's cold out here. I want everybody to understand that take this COVID-19 serious because, believe it or not, this thing is deadly. Although they said they have a vaccine for it, I don't know about it. I'm not going to be one of the first to take it. I got a lot of guests on my show today. I'm very excited. I know I had my man Ken Jones today, Keith Jones today. I'm going to call him Ken because I don't know why I went to school. I was named Ken. But Keith, are you there, Keith?
Again.
Okay, Keith. How you doing there?
Turn me up. Yeah, you can call, I've been called worse than Ken, so it's not a big deal. And I know that you are on it as usual. So pleasure to be back on the show.
Hey.
A lot to talk about. This hour.
Ken, great man. Also, I have with me we have the voice of the MFL with us today. Also, I finally got the head coach with us from down in Tennessee, the Patriots. I'm glad to have him on. How you doing there, Coach?
Doing well. Blessed to be here.
Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Well, good. Also, me and Coach talk a lot. Also, I gotta bring it. I have to give you're doing a great job down there, and I know we got a lot of questions we're gonna ask you guys. Also, I want to bring on the Texas Steelers. I have one of their front office people with them. Make sure I have him aboard. Are you with me? Yes, sir. Yeah. And y'all got to bear with me today because I'm not in my office. I'm doing this by my phone because I wouldn't be able to get back to the office fast enough. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me? Texas. Yeah, okay. Look, one thing about, let me tell y'all something about Texas, man. We got to watch it, man. The Texas Steelers, man, these guys, man, are doing a great job down there, as you know. Keith, they're doing a great job down there. Also, I want to give kudos. Can y'all hear me, Cameron? Can you hear me? They have a little problem, but they'll be right back on. They have no problem, but they got Senior got everybody there. Keith. Okay, I had the head coach down there. One of my old favorites, made me think about the old days up in New England. But we got the Tennessee Patriots here. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Doing well. Oh, I'm hanging in there, man. Just cold. And we got Keith here, so Keith gonna ask some questions and see how things going down in Tennessee, because I know y'all doing a great job.
Well, Tennessee's a big state, Coach. So lay out your plan of attack and where the franchise is exactly located and such, your plans going forward.
Franchise home is in Knoxville, Tennessee right now, which is probably the biggest city, and we'll call it the Mecca for that area. You have two of the interstates run through at 75 and 40. So to get to anywhere else, you got to come through Knoxville. So that's where our home base is. Everything is going as planned, just moving on. COVID is slowing a lot of things up, which is just like Dr. Myles says, laboratory of change. You got to be willing to change sometimes, and that means that you got to adapt to what you're given to. So we're adapting. We're moving on. We have a big stake to try to compass kids and men to come to play in a area. Tennessee is a regional state where you have East Tennessee, which is a total different place than West Tennessee, and just not just demographics, but just the way you live. So our state is a pretty diverse state in a lot of different ways. So we're trying to pull all the pieces that we can pull together through colleges, local high schools, also high schools in the area, and with having the University of Tennessee and Philip Farmer right on your back in your back door, it's easy to pull names and pull players and pull even coaches.
Yeah, Knoxville is a big sports area, and having UT there, that's big for you because it does allow you a kind of a farm system, if you will. They play in the SEC, obviously one of the best football conferences in the NCAA. Not everybody gets into the NFL or gets a chance, and thus in step the Knoxville franchise.
Yes, thank you, and thanks for having us.
So as you go forward, go ahead, Myles.
Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but Coach, as you go forward, what's your plan to get involved with the community and with the colleges that are around you, and specifically University of Tennessee?
Well, this is one thing about. If you hear anything about East Tennessee, it's a southern city where everyone is hospitable and everyone looks for an opportunity to help each other. Our state name is the volunteer state. So it gives us a motive to secure that name. And one way we'll do it is to embrace the kids in the inner city of the Knoxville area. But also, you have kids that, and I'm not going to say kids in the inner city because I could say I was probably a product of that, but an inner city kid is not always a kid that is suffering, but may lack opportunities. But in the same breath, when you have inner city kids, you also have in this area rural kids that may not see the same opportunities or grasp the same opportunities. So we're going to really make a base with the children in our area, both at risk as far as community and children that just miss opportunities. We're also having, I was involved in a program called Boys to Men, and that program was through the National Football with Porter, Mr. Porter. He started a program, a call for men, and that was under that umbrella. Well, we work with domestic violence. In the state of Tennessee, we have the number 4 deaths due to domestic violence. So we pushed that at the high school level. We were one of the schools that opened it up and pushed it in the high school level at the high school I used to coach at. And we want to make it in a grand area to where it hit East Tennessee, and everyone that knows the Tennessee Patriots would also know about that program also. So we have several different organizations that we're consulting with right now to try to bring them in with the organization to pull that help through the community, not just for at-risk youth or at-risk communities, but also with the domestic violence tag to it.
So you talk about the community, and it's really important. Myles has really based a lot of what happens in the MFL around the community involvement, around the team being in the community and having the community embrace the teams. You said you coached high school, so obviously you have some local ties, and from that standpoint, how do you plan on developing the franchise from an organizational standpoint?
Being seen is one of the best ways to show truth, being seen around. One thing that I'm planning to do is we will have a practice facility, but to also have scrimmages, because we have to build this brand. This is new here. You're in a state to where their idea or their concept of football beyond the University of Tennessee is semi-pro. This is not a semi-pro organization. This is a minor football league organization. So we're going to have to do a lot to dispel an idea of a concept that's been preached here for years. When people here, when we mention the Tennessee Patriots, they think of it as a semi-pro team. And I tell them if that was heard by our board or our president, Dr. Myles, he'll frown upon it. And they kind of look at me funny when I say that. But I want them to understand that this is more than just what they see. And this is nothing against semi-pro. Anybody have an opportunity or have a dream to do something, or they think it's a dream or an opportunity, they should go for it. And I would support it. And I think it's great to have opportunities to continue to play a sport that's meant so much to millions of people. But I also want them to understand the concept. And I think the quickest way to get the concept, because East Tennessee football, you may not see a lot of guys playing on Sunday, but the way that they take it and the money that's made through our high school sports in East Tennessee is huge. And this has a lot of following, a lot of great following. Matter of fact, besides the University of Tennessee, some of the high school teams are probably the more popular, even than the Tennessee Titans in this part of Tennessee, this part of the state. So it'll be great to be able to have scrimmages and set up things with the schools. My involvement and being a former head coach here and coaching at a program that has a lot of it, gets a lot of attention. Matter of fact, Friday playing for the state championship. Being a part of those and having a name, my name is different, so a lot of people know me. And so it gives me an opportunity to bring this franchise in front of a lot of different East Tennessee schools. And one way is through scrimmages, one way is through practice settings and things like that.
Well, Coach, because from a high school standpoint, I think Tennessee doesn't get nearly the amount of credit it deserves as a state as far as the talent that comes out of that state. You hear Texas and California and such, and there are 3 Texas franchises in the MFL. But when you talk about Tennessee, there is some pretty good homegrown talent.
Oh yeah, one of my own, a kid that I coached is doing very well as a rookie with the Cincinnati Bengals, T. Higgins. You know, you just look at what's going on with those guys, and it's plenty of guys that are similar to him here. It's just the state is so wide and so spread out lengthwise that we get lost in being a regional state. Then a lot of our kids, a lot of West Tennessee kids are considered Mississippi kids, are considered some Arkansas kids or Missouri kids, and Alabama, the southern part of Tennessee, you have kids that are in the state of Tennessee, play for high schools in the state of Tennessee, but they have family members that's out, so they're considered Northern Alabama kids. And it goes where Tennessee is kind of lost. I think the biggest reason is you can't calculate our players because the University of Tennessee, in past, they're doing better with it now, went outside. They were more for national recruitment instead of state recruitment. And it has to do with that. And you all know, you guys understand the money portion of that. It has to do with boosters and what boosters want and things like that. What looks good to the eye is sometimes not always good for your program. So, you know, University of Tennessee is one of the top programs historically in college football, but they've never really put a lot into their state. And it's a lot of things to go with that, you know, the academics of the state and a lot of things qualifying and being put in a light to play against players that already have names. A lot of our kids just recently, we talk about the high school level and exposure, recently started getting exposure within the last 10 to 15 years. And kids here didn't know anything about 7-on-7s and combines. And also we don't have we don't have a junior college program in the state of Tennessee. So we have kids that may not make it, heck of a ball players, but may not make it academically. After those 4 years of high school, what's next? What options do they have? So that's how we miss out on a lot of kids, because it's a lot of kids who could have went other places and played. But if I'm in Georgia, if I'm at the University of Georgia and University of Tennessee is not recruiting a kid that's 2 miles from his campus, why should I? And that's kind of what's happened to a lot of the kids in the state of Tennessee. And there's other states like that, but Tennessee is one that's really, really been hit hard because, as you say, it's a lot. You look at Nashville area alone, Jalen Ramsey, you just look at the Nashville area alone, then you can really tell that there's a lot of talent that leaves the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, and a lot of that program has obviously fallen on harder times here over the last number of years, but obviously a storied program. You have some NFL Hall of Famers that have come out of that school, and you have guys that don't get the chance, don't get seen. And Myles and I have talked about this many times over the months and the years that we've known each other, from the standpoint of and I always defer to a guy like Jerry Rice. Now guys can be seen because social media and video and everything else. A guy like Jerry almost goes unnoticed because he's playing at a smaller school. But at the time that Jerry played, there was no, you had to send your tape out to a coach to be seen, to be considered, or by chance, and this is how Myles got noticed, but there was a scout or a college coach coming in to see another player, and he says, "Oh, who's this guy?" So that's how that went historically. But now it's all about exposure. It's about the reps. It's always about the reps. I tell aspiring high schoolers and their parents who ask me all the time where they should go to school, and I'd say you need to go someplace where you're gonna get on the field and be seen. Because is it better to be the third stringer on the bench at Alabama or a starter at a school like, say, Coastal Carolina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm funny you say that. Their head coach is from my county, Chadwick, Jamie, and he's matter of fact, he goes to a school that's our Anderson County, and we're in where I live at in Oak Ridge is in Anderson County. So that was a thanks for the shout out for Jamie.
Yeah, see, Myles, he thought that was by accident. So,
I know your expertise.
It's a full circle thing. It's always about that. And Myles, in developing the MFL, it's all about relationships, and it's about getting quality people involved and them getting a chance to be a general manager or a head coach or a position coach, or for the younger guys to be players or be able to get into the front office after they play or whatever they decide. The laboratory change is, yes, a big thing, but I think the MFL is certainly, to me, part of the land of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely. I'm glad you point that out, because it's very important. As you stated, a lot of kids, they will forego things and get an opportunity to go to a big school where they sit on the bench, be there for 4 years and never, or thrust in a position to play if the starters do get hurt. And they can hide you somewhat because of the team itself is real good. So therefore, and you might stick out a little bit because you might do a few things that only you can be known for, because the team as a whole is great. But we want to, and going back to what you were saying, Coach, yes, I want to get rid of that weekend warrior stuff, which is semi-pro. And I tell people in a minute, and Keith, I talk about this all the time. There's no such thing as semi-pro. Either you're pro or you're not. It was just an ignorant term you use to justify sandlot football. That's all it was. And I tell people all the time, that's what the MFL here to do. Get rid of sandlot football. Get these young men an opportunity. That's just like what you were saying, Coach. You have no JUCO down there. And I think even up here, I think you probably remember, Keith, Montgomery College used to have a great junior college. I mean, because they had all the talent, because some of the kids, because of academics, couldn't get into bigger schools, but he had a heck of a team there. Yes, he was always being there, always going to a bowl, because he had everybody there. But also, what happens after that? So the MFL does provide an opportunity you don't find outside of college professional football. And you're a men child that's playing. You get a kid, and we do not have a problem with signing a kid if he come out and he's just graduated from high school, providing he get in some junior college. We're not going to let him just think they can come from high school to the NFL. No, that's not what we do. But you enrolled in the juniors, which I know they don't have no football program. So why penalize these young men? You know what I mean? And it gives them an opportunity that, big schools see this kid out there, because now you're not just with a team that you have all the talent. It's a little more 60-40 here, because you're going to be playing against some guys that played 4 years college ball that was starting, that played on some good teams, good college programs. So for you to match your skills with them, it speaks a lot. It speaks volume for you and y'all as a coaching staff to get these young men, give them an opportunity to play where there is no rush for them, but it gives them opportunity. Now you're not just going to school and you feel like your time is wasted because not have a football program, keep and coach. So these are some of the things that the MFL is about. The laboratory of change, yes, but and I make no bones about it. I want to get rid of that weekend warrior stuff because for one thing, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, coach. You got kids out there just running around playing, no insurance, no nothing. No, that's not. Different color uniform. Then you got old guys out there ain't got no business. They should be sitting back like me watching, Keith. But they want to be out there, and then you look at what kind of program you had then when you see that. So we want these young men to see these guys that went to college in their area. Now these guys in the community, these guys playing there. You playing high school, and then more than likely some of the coaches probably coaching high school ball coach. So they'll see these coaches. Oh man, my coach playing with the Patriots and stuff. Tennessee Patriots. I think that sets a tone for them, coach, where they can say, well, okay, this is not somebody I just see on Sundays. I see them on Saturday nights. Plus, they in the community. Keith?
Yeah, Myles, that's huge, and again, I commend you on the whole premise on this. But it's about the development of the person, not the player, not the coach,
right.
Person. Whether you want to be an administrator or you want to be a different position coach, or you just want the opportunity, it presents itself in the MFL. But the importance is about the longevity that Dr. Myles has developed over 25 years of consistency and having these franchises available, because some people want to own a franchise. Anybody that want to own a business, doesn't get any better than that. You majored in sports management and you want to be a general manager. You're likely going to be very disappointed when you go to the NFL and knock on the door and say, hey, I want, they'll say, sure, you can intern, you can apprentice, which means you're not getting paid. So, these opportunities don't really exist at that level, or they exist later after you've put a lot of sweat and toil and such into the game in order to perhaps get the opportunity. There's a reason that those jobs are so sought after. There aren't that many of them. But with a league like the MFL, you can get that kind of experience. Then when you knock on the door and they say, oh, I can't believe you have this kind of experience. Or, hey, there's a coach like you, obviously have a passion for coaching. And I coached a little bit after I got out of high school, and it's a wonderful thing. I didn't choose it as a vocation. I went on to broadcasting and did that I've been doing that for my career. But I have great admiration for guys like you who stay with it. And the money's a lot better now than it ever was coming up. But again, it's at a certain level, or it's at a certain school. If you got the opportunity there in Knoxville to be successful with the Patriots, University of Tennessee might come calling. Hey, we got this, this assistant coaching job or this head coaching job or what have you. It'd be up to you to say, I'm great where I am right now. No, thank you. But those are the kind of things that wouldn't happen if you weren't involved personally, and generally speaking, people weren't involved in the MFL in an organization like this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And Coach, it does make a difference when these universities in those states understand that they have a minor professional team.
Yes, I've
Now
heard
they're
that.
guys because they're not going to the NFL. Let's just be realistic about it. But you guys can continue playing because we have a minor professional team in the state of Tennessee. I mean, it can't get no better than that. You ain't got to worry about going nowhere. You keep the jobs there. You get an opportunity to play. It takes 5 years to get out your system. We definitely will have scouts there from the other league, and from the CFL. So it gives you opportunities, as we always say, Keith and Coach, it give you opportunity now. Okay, you might not have played as much as you want to. You had a chance, you didn't have a chance to develop like you wanted, because you're not gonna get that much developed if you second and third string. And when you're third string, you're really out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
it gives you an opportunity to play. You might want to be you want to intern coaching. We have a GM. I think you seen him, coach for the Colts up here. I think he's 28 years old, and doing a great job. But like he say, he got a great job. But he said, I went to grad school. I always wanted to be a general manager. That's what I went to school for.
Right.
My job paid me good. But so him getting this opportunity, I mean, he's really running with it. So that's why we always say the MFL is the laboratory chain, because we want to bring these young men. It's beyond the field, even for the players. Because like I say, Keith, you can only play for so long, but we want to develop men and get them to understand it's about community. And we got so many guys called. You got a lot of big guys down there. See, I'm kind of jealous. Keep all them guys called. They be calling from down Tennessee and from one of our. I said, man, it ain't nothing like that up here in the metropolitan area. Make you kind of envy, But then they're nice guys, well-mannered guys. I talk to most of them because we do return the calls with the players, and they shocked that they getting a call back, coach, and they're like, oh wow, I just, so they're excited and they want to. They can't wait to. We start, but like I say, their safety. One person gets over, if one too many, Keith. So we don't want that. We want to make sure everything absolutely safe. We got plenty of time, and we want these guys to understand that the NFL is about these young men and not just football, And these are the things that are very dear and important to us.
And I want to talk about the colleges and the few that I've talked to. And the coaches, most of the head coaches in Tennessee, college coaches, I know personally, just through the recruiting. I've had a couple of guys that were highly recruited kids. So you know these guys. And one thing that one coach said that really kind of brings what you were saying to light is it makes us feel better that we give our players other opportunities, because some opportunities we have no control over. When we go into these parents' homes, as these kids are high school students, we told them we're going to do everything we can to give those kids the best opportunity to be successful in life, and whatever successful in life may be. And when I speak of our program, I speak of it being an opportunity beyond football. And when talking to a coach, he said it actually helps us out. He said it helps us out for our players. And like he said 80% of our players, 85 to 90% of our players will not play a professional sport. He said, but that doesn't mean that most of them don't want to be involved in a professional sport. And this gives them another opportunity where in other places, in DC or Florida or Texas, they may have that opportunity, is what the coach said. I don't know how familiar he was with the MFL, but he said they may have those opportunities at those places. But in Tennessee, this part of Tennessee, our players don't have that. And when I was getting them and sending information where he can have guys to call, and I always tell everybody to research it first and see if it fits. If they understand it, they got any question to call me. And if I have any question, Dr. Myles has told me, you call me if you have any questions, anything. So I know that line of communication is there through everyone. And I was real impressed. I didn't even think that way until the coach brought it out that, hey, I got players that may not want to play football anymore, but they may want to coach, And when I said, well, what about being a GM one day? He said, I have guys that's what they study for. And he was telling me the percentage of their players that are in sports management, and into sports therapy. And so many things that you can build off of that to where now you have the universities that are actually pushing MFL. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you said. That's something that I didn't know going into this, but just reaching out and speaking and talking to some coaches and getting some advice and I was trying to pull players, but by him putting it that way, it made it seem that this is a bigger net to catch more fish than just that bass,
But even
absolutely, and it's so much
coming in as a player, though, Coach, that's important. But it's always the after they're playing, like Myles will say. I mean, and I think even in the NFL, the average now I think is 4 years, which is nothing. And these guys come out of the big schools and they get big money and they go out and but they have no future. They have nothing set in place. The NFL, it's taken them a long time to give any assistance to these guys. Come in, they get too much too soon. They're too young. You know, you've coached a lot of the young guys. Some guys get it, some guys don't. Same way on the field. And it's just a matter of developing the person again, not just the player. You're going to develop players along the way. But I think back to the great Hall of Fame head coach Joe Gibbs when I covered the NFL for a lot of years. And he was all about character. He took undrafted guys and got them in his system. If you had the character he was looking for, if you had the quality of play, he could coach you. He took a lot of guys from the defensive side and made a big offensive alignment. So it wasn't an issue there, just coaching them. But I need this level of quality of character in a player. And 3 Super Bowls later, in a Hall of Fame career. Speaks volumes to me. I mean, there's a guy that won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, none of which, including Doug Williams, will probably ever be in the Hall of Fame. That to me, that's the pinnacle of coaching, because he had the players, had the system, he got them in undersized guys. It didn't matter. If you could do the job, you could play for me, and that's big.
And that's what's so important about the MFL, Coach. Developing players. And got a lot of guys. And the great thing about us having a franchise, because when I did the feasibility study, everybody, I don't know if I told you, Keith, we didn't get no one down in Tennessee. See, a lot of people don't know the franchise was down there since last year, right, Keith? But a lot of people we got, they want to move there. I said, no. I want somebody from that area. My board said, well, we might have to move it. I said, no, let's just wait. And as you go, look, we got a hell of a coach here. And the college can sit, and it gives these other young men a choice now. Okay, broadcast journalists, all these other components that are part of the NFL, then we have room for you here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You come in here. I was telling one the coach up in Texas, the Rams, and I know he probably watching the show now. He was saying that, wow, everybody looking at us, we having to, getting these players. I mean, the coach is going to be. I said, you know what? Give these young men, intern young men, an opportunity to coach. You know what I mean? These are the type of young men you want. You find out, and I know this, and you guys might agree with me on this, but the borderline players make the best coaches. You know what I mean? Because they had a chance to really study the game and process. When you get them good players, they just working with their ability, their God-given gift. But as far as understanding the terminology and understanding the game, you have to really be a student of the game to really understand it, and a lot of people don't understand. That's why you look at all the great coaches, and I guarantee you, they wasn't all pro. Look at them. They might have been on some championship teams. They might not. So it just goes to show you that the laboratory change is important. And I'm glad you had an opportunity to talk to the different universities down there, because this is a big deal. And I think, and Coach, man, you had a long conversation. A lot of times we talked because I had to bring Coach up to speed. He was in, I even made sure that he knew that he felt comfortable. He's like, and I tell you, Coach, you can call me anytime. You call me, yes, because I want you to know what we're doing. So then after Coach got a real exam, he said, wait a minute now. He did not know that the NFL was calling us. So we don't give that to a lot of people, Keith. But I let the coach hear some stuff. His whole mindset changed about this thing, huh, Coach?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It definitely it definitely did. I'm a believer.
And then sometimes I always say documentation be conversation, and seeing is believing. I tell people all the time, Keith, and someone like you, if you tell me something, I'm gonna believe it. You could tell me you could fly. Okay, you can fly. But when it comes time to fly and you can't, then we got a problem, because you said it, not me. You know what I mean? I tell guys all the time, I play running back, linebacker. I say, oh. what do you play, young man? Why can play? You can be a jack of all trades, master of none. You coming out with this combine, and we're going to sign 20 players, 3 combines. Each franchise going to do, and we sign the 20 players from these combines. So you better go in there, because don't think if you didn't do well trying this position, you say, well, I'm going to go over there. It doesn't work like that. And we know different from no one else. We want the best of the best. You know what I mean? Because you're going to play against the best of the best in another state. You're not, what's so unique about this, the MFL, you're not playing people down the street from you or down the road. I'm sorry. You know, Coach, you playing the best in Florida, Georgia, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina. You know, you playing the best in these states, man. So, you know, this is no cakewalk, but at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to measure your skills. Everybody from the GM to the coaches, y'all doing the best job you can, because you're going up against guys that want to beat you. And, you know, Keith, it's not nothing personal like all the GMs say. It's about, we about winning. You know, they say it. You know, now why they want to step on the Chiefs, I don't know why. The Chiefs had their heyday. But then again, we still interviewing for the GM job. Might have to call Keith in, since he keeps ducking around with this. But, you know, these guys are serious, man. And I think you see, Coach, you've been looking at everybody stuff. Man, these guys, you know, they ready. But in the meantime, they're doing things to be ready, getting their coaching staff together. See, it's a lot of things. A lot of people say COVID shut you down. No, it doesn't. It gives you a chance. And I tell people right now, it was the best thing that ever happened to the MFL. You know that, Keith. It's the best thing that ever happened, because it gave me an opportunity to get more prepared. And I'm a pretty sharp individual, but never I had this much time to really put something together. And I was joking when one of the reporters asked me, he said, yeah, when you won them championships, I said, what? You cannot name no one. I'm the only coach that never lost a game. He looked at me, right, y'all? He said, you never lost a game. I said, I never lost a game. He got the, you know, he started to get on his on his phone, because, you know, he can start pulling stuff up. He said, I ran out of time, but I didn't lose the game. You get it, Keith? I said, I ran out of time. I ain't lose the game. He's all, get out of here, Dr. Myles. I said, I had to. I mean, he was really thinking, wait a minute, it's nobody that never lost a game. I said, I ran out of time. You know what I mean, Keith? I ain't lose the game. It ain't my fault I ran out of time, right?
Right. But see, that's the mentality right there, Coach, of why the MFL still exists 25 plus years later, and why Dr. Myles has gone on and got his doctorate and everything else, because he just keeps going. And we've had a number of other administrators and coaches on this show, and it's about taking the time that you have now, because the whole dynamic of the way business in the world has changed. So it doesn't mean that you don't have time in your day. You just have to make the best use of it. And, oh, by the way, I'm running a franchise. Let me figure out how I can communicate, technology still works. Obviously, yes. The three of us are sitting next to each other, even though we're in 3 different locations. And that's been part of what Myles is doing. It's like, no, we're going. This is, he just said, it's been the best time for the MFL, because the awakening is happening. People are understanding priorities. People are understanding opportunities, and they say, "Oh, I'm starting to get it now," and that's made a huge difference up to this point, and will continue to do it as the MFL goes forward.
And it's great, Coach. We have people like Keith with his perspective and his expertise on covering professional football. Having Keith aboard, I mean, it speaks, volume in terms of because he keeps on asking you the big questions. He want to know what's going on in the perspective states where these franchises are, and that's why we bring him aboard. Keep on asking you what's going on with the perspective. I think we got them back. Well, as soon as I get the Steelers up, we're gonna. As soon as I get them aboard, let me know. Y'all aboard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, can y'all see the look? See, they got everybody there. How y'all doing, gentlemen?
Good, good. We're doing great. How you doing?
We had a little difficulty because I couldn't get back to the office in time, so I'm doing this on my phone. Keith, won't you go ahead and he got me, but introduce yourselves to Keith, and Keith gonna start asking you some questions, gentlemen.
So, well, thank you, Myles. See, Coach Graham, this is what we're talking about. This is a total commitment. These guys in Texas, the Steelers are all the way in. They understand what's going on, and they're developing their teams right before our eyes. Last time, there were only two of them sitting at the desk when we did the show. This time, now there's three. So next week, there'll probably be 4 or 5. But that's their commitment. That's the way they're growing that franchise down in Texas. And great admiration to you guys. David, good to see you, and Joe and Brian. Congratulations on the developing franchise that is the Tennessee Steelers. Excuse me, the Texas Steelers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, like you're saying, I'm Brian Salinas, the Vice President of Operations. I agree with everything you said. We're moving, and we're moving fast. Down here we're very passionate about football. I think everybody knows that. And so once we get involved, it's it's a labor of love. And so we do it, we think about it, so we dream about it, and we're getting some good people in line, just like Joe here and David Jr. I'll let them introduce themselves as well.
Yes, sir. David Glasgow II. I'm sure you guys are already familiar with my dad. I'm just glad to be a part of the great opportunity and everything. Keith, I think that you brought up a very, very important point earlier in the show when you were discussing about how it's more so than just the football players. It's more so about developing the person. And so I think that speaks volumes to me personally, because I feel like I'm a prime example of that. But I also believe that maturity is more important than talent at the end of the day. So once again, thank you guys for having us, and I'm just glad to be a part of something like this. Thank you.
No, I'll go with that. I like the maturity more important. That's for us older guys. That works pretty good. But you guys, I understand the football thing in Texas is big, and I want you to kind of enlighten Coach Graham, because he's dealing in Tennessee. In Knoxville, which obviously you have University of Tennessee right there. They have really good high school players and such. But Texas, Florida, California always bleed to the top when you're talking about developing talent at the high school level all the way up. So kind of clue Coach Graham into how you guys are going about developing the franchise with players and with administrators and everything else.
Yeah, Coach Graham, I think when you were talking more so about Tennessee, I think that in a weird way that the city of San Antonio can kind of relate to you. But at the same time, when recruiters come down here, their first spots are East Texas, which is small towns like Kilgore, Tyler, etc. Then they go Houston, which is Dallas is out there. Then they go Houston, and then San Antonio's like the last of the pickers. So when you were explaining all the stuff that was going on in Tennessee, I definitely understood where you're coming from, because San Antonio, the city, can relate. I want to say I graduated high school in 2010. So like my recruiting class was kind of like the first big recruiting class, I would say, out of San Antonio that started getting a lot of Division I into entertainment or attention. So the whole goal is, I think that's what the Steelers we're trying to pride ourselves on as well, as saying, look, we have a lot of homegrown talent right here in the city that goes unnoticed all the time. So I feel like, there's talent everywhere, but it takes the right person to tap into and see it. And I think that what we're going to try to do is take the opportunity to see that talent and make the most out of it, and show people that people here, just like there is in your home state of Tennessee, have the ability to come out and play, and just as well as the people in your East Texas's or the Houston's or the first places that these recruiters go to scout at.
Well, I want to
understand and appreciate.
Right, and also I see Dan Glatzy, he has his son with him. I have 2 sons, and my oldest son, why I get him out here to help his dad, you know what I mean? So when I see that, it excites me, Keith, because that's what the MFL exemplify is the laboratory of change, and we're talking about from the field to the front office. Also, you look at these individuals, everybody here, Keith, we talking about, generational wealth too, gentlemen. That's it. We get an opportunity to pass this down to our kids' kids. You know what I mean? And that's a great thing about the NFL. You have so many other components to this, and I'm kind of glad because we know things is big in Texas, but y'all gonna beat up on each other in Oklahoma before you get to get next to the other divisions, and I'm kind of excited about that because you do have Oklahoma there, and he will be on a Friday, and then you have in Houston, you have the Rams, and then you have the Cardinals in Eastern Texas. So what's the census on that, gentlemen? Y'all been Texas so big, I had to put. I say that's gonna be too much traveling for them. So we need to put, just like the NFL do, we need to put two more franchises there. And I think it makes it a lot easier for you guys. And then don't forget, also you got New Orleans, you got the Packers. So what's the census on that, gentlemen?
Well, we don't mind traveling. We're used to we're used to driving far distances to get anywhere. So it's game day. It's travel day. Our blood's pumping, and we're kind of used to that. Even high schools around Texas are always traveling, especially now it's the playoffs for us. So it's just something that we're used to down here in Texas. So it's not a big deal. We're excited about it. We're excited to work with those other teams as well. We want to have of course we want to win, but we also want to have a competitive league. We want everybody to rise. We want everybody to develop the young man. Like we always talk about. Laboratory of change. We want to make sure that these athletes are good football players, and then we parlay that into becoming great men. And we're, like I said earlier, we're having, through David Sr., David Jr., our coaching staff. We've got some great experience and some great leadership coming these kids' way, and with the rest of the coaching staff that we fill in, the interns and whatnot. These guys are experienced former college football players, but they're going to be learning from gentlemen who have playing experience and coaching experience, and so very, very exciting stuff. We're ready to go. We're going already. We're just ready to get all this stuff out of the way so we can start, playing some football.
Yeah, but Brian, you bring up a good point there, and it's yes, you develop your players for your team, but it's really an extension of the league. In that, why wouldn't you pick up the phone and give another general manager have a conversation about ideas or things that you're doing to develop your players? Because as Myles says, you're getting that local talent. It's not that they're going to taking this guy away from you if you give him super secrets and things like that. Because as the saying goes, the tide, all boats rise in the high tide.
Sure. And we've already had some athletes reach out to us from Houston and Dallas and asking about the Steelers. And in all honesty, we're letting them know, you've got franchises there as well. We're not going to take them from everybody. We want to keep a fair playing field. And it's about the Steelers, but it's also about the league. We're all in. We're, like I said, very exciting. We're here to help anybody that needs it. And we're brand new, so we're going to need some development and guidance as well, along from those established franchises already too. So it's a good fit. It's a good field thus far, and we're ready.
Myles, it sounds like you got written all over it. So that's exactly, you can pick up the phone and reach the doctor at any time. It doesn't matter, player, coach, administrator, owner, what have you. That's one of the reasons that this league is still going on 25 plus years later is that.
And real quick, he's being real modest. But this is our media director, Joe Green. He's over here trying to chill and not say anything. But most modest dudes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm waiting for him to talk.
Right here.
So just chief of, I guess you could say, networking, social networking, and media and stuff like that. I got starting to get a team together of people that we're going to get so that we can do actual videos. We can get action shots. We can get a lot of stuff that we're going to be promoting along the way, so y'all can see the growth of the actual league and the Texas Steelers. You know what I mean? So I hope that y'all get to see a lot of the crisp pictures that we're gonna put out, the videos, the media, everything that we do, and just try to push it out as hard as we can. That's
excellent. I know Myles is all about that. So he'll be the CEO, commissioner, and founder will be very, very pleased to see all that stuff flying around.
Awesome. We need him back.
Absolutely. And we also, we have 5 different companies that bidding on the stream and the game for the whole league. So we have people at each franchise streaming the games where you'll be able to see it. So far we have 5 companies that got the RFPs in already. So it's a matter of us looking. And matter of fact, up in Rochester, they went and visited his stadium and looked at the wiring system and all that. So I'm excited about what we're doing, gentlemen. And I had seen the content that y'all been putting up there. You look like the GM's son. I thought he was pushing to be GM. He always, he dresses up well. And I want you to know that about him, Keith. Mr. Glassman's son. But he exemplified what the MFL is about. We want to bring former players from the field to the front office, and we want them to understand beyond the field. It's some stuff that we send out, gentlemen, to the GM, and we want y'all coaches to have, because it's a side of this you haven't seen yet. And I think the coach down in with the Patriots that could tell you a little bit about it. Y'all really excited there now. I'll give it to you. But tell them, Coach, when I'm gonna send them to look at and stuff, they'll really be beside themselves, huh, Coach?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's a special. You'll be excited. You'll be excited. I also would like to.
And what do you mean?
I also would like to I'm really impressed with what they're doing in Texas. That's great for the league. But also would like to my general manager, Adam Scully, for the work he's been doing behind the scenes. Like I said, we're trying to change a mindset in the state of Tennessee. And believe me, it's been tough, and Dr. Myles can attest some frustration to try to get it to go, but you just got to believe in your product. If you believe in your product, you can get whatever you need to get done. And I just want to commend him for the job he's been doing because I'm going to ask questions. I don't think I've been able to get in the coaching ranks where I've been able to do, the coaching 2 All-American Bowls. And San Antonio was a nice one with the Armies. I really enjoyed that. But to do the things without being one to push every limit and try to turn the handle on every door, find out what all the W questions, all the W questions with how. And I have to commend him. I know he's a businessman, but he had to step out of his business mindset and be personal and be able to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And to get people to listen, he's talented. He can talk the talk. So I just want to commend him on the job he's been able to do to build our program and to get people to want to be a part. And that's step one is to get them to ask questions, to want to be a part. So we're past that step and we're moving forward also. But I'm really impressed. I'm gonna read up on the Texas Steelers. Like us, the Patriots, you have a name of a team that has a lot of history of doing things the right way. So we taking that same pride being the Patriots, as I'm sure you all are being Steelers. So we're taking the same pride and trying to take it and build it to be the same type of program.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, Coach, but that was the laboratory change is, and Keith can testify to this. Anything people don't understand, they have a tendency to be afraid of it because it's new, it's different. You know, it's outside of the box. But once they understand and they see that their cousins or uncles or cousins that played college ball and he's kind of frustrated because he did not go to the next level, now they don't have to worry about that, gentlemen. As y'all know, that's what the MFL is for, the laboratory change. Now you have another alternative. That's just like you were saying that the colleges down in Tennessee and stuff. You know, they realize that, wait a minute, this is big. This is big than people can ever imagine. You know what I mean? Now we got kids, they're going to say, well, hey, I can go get that job now, but I still can fulfill my dream of playing professional football. And you're home doing it. So these are some of the things that I'm excited about, gentlemen. And as y'all know, you can always call me 24/7. I'll answer the phone before the rest of the staff because, you know, as you know, Keith, that's what I'm about. But I can't wait to get started. Everybody thinks that I'm not excited. Players call all the time, but I'm excited too. But, you know, I've been doing this so long, gentlemen, that, you know, things that happen when it's time to happen. I tell people all the time, that's that chaplain in me. You know, God's in charge. You know, everything's going to be fine. And as the coach said, you know, down in Tennessee, they ain't going to stop y'all from beating up on the, beating on the Steelers, right, Coach? You know, you going to be nice to them, man. I'm starting stuff now.
Hey, one thing I always tell people,
they bust out
Mr. Myles, Dr. Myles, one thing I always tell people, the game will be played, and take it the way you want it.
There you go. Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry for the little difficulty we had. Like I say, I'm doing this on my phone because there's no way in the world I got back to the office in time. But, you know, the show, very important, but that's what the MFL is. We had the MFL Network. We can have a conversation with all the GMs. I'll have y'all on time to time. This is not the first time y'all going to be on this. We'll be calling you to do the radio show as well, because we do Inside the MFL on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, gentlemen. So you can also see that. But I want to thank y'all for being, especially my co-host today, Keith. I'm glad to have you on, Keith. And I'm glad to have y'all from Texas and from Tennessee. Gentlemen, thank y'all for being on today. I really appreciate y'all coming on, okay?
Thank you.
This has been another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host. I'll see you Friday. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Myles.
Right. That was good. You got anything about the last 20 maybe?